117 cheap drones just destroyed a third of Russia's nuclear bomber fleet. These weren't advanced military weapons. They were commercial first-person view drones, the kind hobbyists fly, smuggled into Russia in cargo trucks, and launched from parking lots near airbases. The entire operation cost less than what a single Patriot missile costs to fire. Welcome to the future of warfare, where everything we thought we knew about air defense just became dangerously outdated. Here's what nobody's talking about. The United States spent decades and hundreds of billions of dollars building the most sophisticated air defense network in human history. Systems designed to track and destroy incoming missiles, enemy aircraft, precision threats moving at supersonic speeds. These systems work brilliantly against the threats they were designed to counter. But there's a problem. The threat just changed, and the math behind modern warfare has completely broken. Picture this scenario. You're defending a military base. A single drone appears on radar, worth maybe $20,000. You have seconds to decide. Do you fire a $3 million Patriot missile at it? That's a 15,000 to 1 cost ratio. You just spent 15,000 times more money than your enemy did. Now imagine it's not one drone, it's 500 drones coming from every direction simultaneously. You don't have 500 Patriot missiles. Nobody does. Even if you did, you just spent $1.5 billion defending against $10 million worth of drones. That's not a sustainable equation. That's economic warfare, and you're losing. This isn't theoretical anymore. In July 2025, Russia launched its largest drone assault since the war began. 728 drones and 13 missiles in a single night. Ukrainian air defenses had to make impossible choices. Which drones get the expensive missiles? Which cities get protected? Which critical infrastructure gets left vulnerable? Every intercept costs more than the entire attacking force. Every successful defense is simultaneously a strategic loss. Ukraine's facing this reality every single night. Millions of people running to bomb shelters as swarms of Shahed drones fill the sky. These Iranian-designed kamikaze drones cost somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000 each. They only hit their intended target about 10% of the time. Doesn't matter. Russia produces an estimated 50 to 70,000 of them annually. They're tactical first-person view drones. Production might exceed 1.5 million per year. You can't shoot down 1.5 million drones with missiles that cost $1 million each. The math doesn't work. The supply chains don't work. The entire concept doesn't work. But the economic problem is just the surface. There's something deeper happening here, something that reveals why traditional air defenses aren't just expensive, but fundamentally obsolete against this new threat. Air defense systems were designed for an era of limited high-value targets. You're protecting against 10 enemy bombers, not 10,000 tiny autonomous machines. Your radar systems are built to track large objects moving in predictable patterns at high altitudes. They're not optimized for small drones flying low, slow, and in coordinated swarms. Operation Spider's Web proved this beyond any doubt. Those 117 drones that hit Russian air bases traveled over 1,000 miles in some cases. They penetrated multiple layers of air defense. They reached strategic military targets that Russia absolutely needed to protect, bases housing their nuclear-capable bomber fleet. And they succeeded because traditional defense systems simply aren't built to handle dozens of small threats approaching simultaneously from multiple vectors. The Russians learned this lesson and immediately applied it. Their July attacks on Kiev introduced a new tactic: drones launched from all directions, encircling the city before attacking simultaneously. It's not about overwhelming defenses through sheer numbers anymore. It's about overwhelming the decision-making process itself. Lockheed Martin's counter-UAS director put it bluntly. Defenders might only have seconds between each critical decision in a swarm scenario. Seconds to identify dozens of targets. Seconds to match each threat to the right defensive system. Seconds to prioritize which incoming drone gets intercepted and which gets through. Human operators can't process that fast. Traditional command and control systems weren't designed for that tempo. You need diverse integrated sensors tracking dozens of small, low-flying targets. You need layered defensive systems progressively thinning the swarm. You need an intelligent battle management system making split-second decisions. Most countries don't have any of that. The ones that do are realizing it's not enough. China understands where this is heading. At the Zhuhai Air Show in November 2024, they unveiled the Zhutian mothership drone. 10 tons, modular payload bay, deploys smaller swarms at 560 miles per hour with a 1,200-mile range. It's larger than America's MQ-9 Reaper and designed specifically to deliver coordinated drone attacks deep into enemy territory. Beijing announced plans to field 1 million tactical drones by 2026. 1 million. The United States is planning to acquire 200,000 by 2027. We're already behind in a race most people don't even know is happening. Sweden's showing us what the next evolution looks like. In January 2025, defense contractor Saab unveiled software allowing a single soldier to control 100 drones simultaneously. Not just control, coordinate. These swarms can execute synchronized operations across air, land, and sea. They provide real-time situational awareness. They can overwhelm defenses, penetrate networks, execute missions with both stealth and brute force while maintaining high tolerance for attrition. Lose 30 drones? Doesn't matter. 70 more continue the mission. Ukraine's already using artificial intelligence to coordinate drone swarms in combat. First known routine use of swarm technology in actual warfare, not tests, not exercises, real combat operations where groups of drones communicate with each other, adapt to enemy responses, and attack Russian positions with coordination that would require dozens of human operators. This is warfare's evolutionary leap happening in real time, not in simulations, not in strategic planning documents, on actual battlefields where the cost of being wrong is measured in lives and lost wars. The Pentagon knows it's behind. They launched the Replicator initiative with bold promises about fielding thousands of counter-drone systems. The Congressional Research Service checked the receipts. By August 2025, only hundreds materialized, not thousands, hundreds. Meanwhile, Russia's producing somewhere between 50 and 70,000 Shahed strike drones annually. That's already more than NATO's entire defensive capacity. But those are just the large drones. Tactical first-person view drones? Production estimates suggest at least 1.5 million per year from Russia alone. Do the math. If you're producing 1,000 interceptor missiles monthly with 95% kill rates, you're still losing if your opponent generates 5,000 drone sorties in that same month. Even perfect accuracy doesn't solve a 10-to-1 volume problem. Ukraine learned this lesson through brutal necessity. Night after night of bombardment forced them to completely rethink air defense. They couldn't keep firing million-dollar missiles at $20,000 targets, so they built their own drone interceptors for around $1,000 each. Homegrown systems taking down high-altitude suicide drones at a fraction of conventional costs, innovation born from desperation. But even that's not enough when you're facing the kind of attacks Russia launched in July. 728 drones and 13 missiles in a single assault, the largest drone attack since the invasion began. These weren't random launches. This was the debut of the Geran 5, a new jet-powered strike drone, faster, harder to detect, more capable of penetrating defenses already stretched beyond breaking. High-power microwave systems might change the equation. Unlike kinetic interceptors that destroy targets one at a time, HPM weapons can disable entire swarms in a single speed-of-light engagement. British trials in 2025 showed these systems working exactly as advertised. Costs measured in pennies per engagement instead of millions. Magazines effectively unlimited as long as you have electrical power. Sounds perfect. It's not. HPM isn't a silver bullet. It needs integration into layered defense combining kinetic systems, electronic warfare, and directed energy. You can't just point a microwave beam at the sky and declare victory. Drones are adapting, shielding, flying lower, coordinating attacks to overwhelm even directed energy systems through sheer simultaneous volume. The real danger isn't any single technology. It's what happens when these capabilities spread to countries that view the United States as their primary adversary. China's not just building drones, they're building the entire ecosystem. The Zhoutian mothership isn't just large, it's a mobile drone factory that deploys coordinated swarms 1,200 miles from its launch point. Beijing's goal of 1 million tactical drones by 2026 isn't aspirational, it's operational planning. Contrast that with American procurement. 50,000 drones in 2025. Plans for 200,000 more by 2027. We're counting in thousands while China counts in millions. That's not a capability gap. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what future warfare looks like. The Air Force finally acknowledged this reality. They're creating a specialized unit in 2026 focused entirely on cheap attack drone tactics. The stated goal? Develop methods to fight China using kamikaze swarm tactics. We're literally training to fight the way our adversaries already fight, playing catch-up in a race where second place means losing Taiwan, losing air superiority, losing the ability to project power in the Pacific. After decades of complete air dominance, the United States now operates in an environment where cheap drones have democratized precision strike. Countries that couldn't afford advanced fighter jets can field thousands of autonomous attack drones. Non-state actors can launch coordinated swarm attacks. The monopoly on precision fires is over. The age of guaranteed air superiority is ending. Look at what happened in 2025. India and Israel both used drone warfare to devastate the air defenses of Pakistan and Iran. Different methods, same result. Traditional defense systems couldn't cope with volume attacks. Both Pakistan and Iran responded with their own large-scale drone assaults. Escalation through technology that's now accessible to anyone with sufficient resources resources and motivation. The Middle East proved this point repeatedly. The United States spent billions shooting down cheap drones launched by comparatively weak powers, not strategic threats, not peer competitors, weak powers with access to affordable technology. If that's the cost of defending against inferior opponents, what happens when facing China's People's Liberation Army with their rapidly advancing autonomous systems acquired at massive scale? Every military unit will need organic counter-drone capabilities, not centralized air defense, not specialized units that show up when called. Every single unit defending itself against small drones. The Pentagon's already working on distributing tactics, techniques, and procedures, ensuring all forces receive training in drone self-protection. Because without that capability, even the most advanced weapon systems become irrelevant when swarmed by autonomous attackers. This isn't about technology anymore. It's about accepting that warfare fundamentally changed while we were still optimizing for the last war. Traditional air defense was built for an era of limited high-value targets. 10 enemy bombers, not 10,000 coordinated machines. Large objects moving predictably at high altitude, not small drones flying low and slow from multiple vectors simultaneously. The swarms are already here. The question isn't whether they'll define future conflict. They're defining current conflict. Right now, in Ukraine, in the Middle East, soon in the Pacific. The only question is whether we adapt fast enough or learn these lessons the hard way when it actually matters most. The military establishments of major powers are having conversations behind closed doors that should terrify anyone paying attention, not about whether drone swarms will dominate future battlefields. That debate's over. The conversations now are about whether we can field adequate defenses before a peer conflict makes our current vulnerabilities catastrophically obvious, whether we can close the production gap before China's million-drone advantage becomes insurmountable, whether we can develop counter-swarm technology faster than adversaries develop swarm tactics. Ukraine and Russia are writing the textbook on drone warfare with blood and burning cities. Every lesson learned there is being studied by militaries worldwide. Every tactic that works gets copied, improved, scaled up. The technology barrier has collapsed. The knowledge is spreading, and the harsh mathematics of economic attrition warfare haven't changed. You cannot defend against million-dollar precision strikes with billion-dollar defense systems when your opponent fields them by the thousands. Traditional air defense isn't just challenged, it's obsolete against coordinated autonomous swarms. The systems we spent decades perfecting are magnificent solutions to problems that no longer define modern warfare. We built the world's finest armor against swords while our enemies switched to guns.